once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Russ, and you are.
And I'm Chris.
And this is episode 200.
But you just want to take the show by yourself, man? You just want to run it by yourself tonight?
No.
I'll just sit back and watch.
I don't want that because that is too much fucking work.
And actually, I just realized we missed the very beginning of that because I didn't hit the right mic because I'm still getting used to the new setup that I have.
Figures.
But it's good now.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it.
It's been a week, dude.
It has been a week. That is true. It has been a week. Happy election day, everybody.
Yes, I guess. There. Well, is it really happy? I mean,
well, you know what? I'm just happy that at least
I'm happy. I'm happy it's finally here.
Yeah.
Maybe the calls will stop now.
Yeah.
I only had
text
one
messages.
Yeah, I had one call today. Dude, there was one. So I got a text message, and it just said, "Is this Christopher?" And
I got one of those too. Yeah.
I responded with, "Who the fuck sends creepy ass text messages to someone they don't know?"
Right.
And I got within less than a minute, I got a response that said, "We'll take you off our list."
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, at least some of them aren't bots. You know, at the very least, a lot of them are actually people. Because I've gotten several of them that, for whatever reason, they think it's my ex-wife's number. Like, "Hi, Kirsten, is this?" And I'm like, first of all, this is my ex-wife's number. Or I mean, that was my ex-wife's name. This is not her number, or whatever I said. And it's like, please don't text me again. And they were like, "Oh, we're so sorry, we'll take you off our list." But the thing is, there's so many lists apparently, and I just keep getting one after another, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, Renee gets like 10 times more than I do.
She's younger.
She's younger. She's female.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the voters they seem to really be going after with all these calls and everything. But I mean, there was one today. I got a call from somebody, and they're like, "Hey, this is so and so from the Democratic national whatever," and it's election day. I said, "No shit, I voted at 7:00 this morning. Take me off your goddamn list."
Right, exactly. I'm also getting these too, like constantly. Center for voter information.
Oh, hey, here's the way you voted in the past.
Yeah, those two. You're like, here, you voted in these elections, but not these ones, And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I'm just really glad that this stuff is done. I'm like, you can hear me like maybe ripping up paper. I'm just like, Stella had, so we had a little gathering at the house last night for Dia de Morta.
Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead. And I keep mispronouncing it. And it was really nice. We just had a couple of people over. I think maybe, very socially distanced, like maybe 10 people, including Stella and I. And her friend Emily's mother made like all the food. Like there is no more food anywhere because she made it all and brought it to my house. And it was all like Hispanic food, Mexican food. It was really good. It's good food. And it was a nice little gathering. But Stella like shoved everything, a lot of stuff that was just like cluttering the house up in my room here. So I'm like, the room is already kind of a mess. I know you can't really see the floor, but I got one of my goals after I get laid off for Thanksgiving is to clean this fucking room because there's just stacks of stuff over here, like my makeup
and that's the thing, you can't see that, so really it just looks like a cool ass like library.
It is. It's a cool ass library.
It's not a mess at all, man. There's no mess there.
So anyway, I'm destroying old mail that needs to just be destroyed, and I was just like, God, this is stuff for my old roommate Amanda and myself. And honest to God, look at this. This is still more Center for Voter Information, constantly, like every 2 days they were sending these.
Yep. So I'm going to show this off because I don't think people can see it, but I wore this shirt today.
Nice.
Specifically because I felt that it was kind of appropriate Because what is that show other than a group of young Antifa trying to prevent the takeover of a megalomaniacal fascist?
Right. Exactly.
So it felt fitting.
I went to work from voting. Well, actually, I went and voted, and then I had to take my car to the shop. So that was great. That's a $450 bill. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on my breaks, just decided to suddenly go start grinding. Like no squeaking, no nothing. It just started to grind, and I went, "Wow, that's weird." And so I go and I noticed it like Sunday a little bit when I was driving around. So then I'm like, I'm gonna take it to work with me tomorrow. Just kind of double check. And sure enough, it got like the ride to work. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. If the warning thing gets either popped off or breaks off,
right? Yeah, and that's probably what happened. So it was just like I took it to the shop today, $450 for a brake job and an oil change, which I've never had a major repair on this car, so I guess it was time, but it was still like, oh, son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because I have a $200 gift card here. I have not yet used for Visa, so that'll at least make a dent in it. So yeah, it was a hell of a day though. How was your voting experience?
It wasn't bad. The worst part of it was seeing the amount of people that were not wearing masks.
Yeah.
Which surprised me. There was one person that was wearing a Trump bandana over their face.
I saw somebody wearing a Trump mask.
And I actually saw the person, and I give him credit. It's a younger guy, a bunch of young people that were volunteering at the polls. But he actually told him, he's like, you can't wear that. You need to turn it inside out because you can't be. You can't promote. You can't promote anybody inside the polling place. And so all the dude did was just pull it down off of his face and had it around his neck.
It's just so funny because I don't see anybody do it for Biden Harris doing shit like that. I just saw, but you see Trump people doing shit like that, pushing.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the worst part of it is that the first thing I thought of with all the people that I saw not wearing masks, every person I saw not wearing a mask, I went, that's a vote for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's horrible my first thought is you're a Trump supporter.
Yeah. I just found out a friend of mine, one of my models actually, that for my Double Rust project, she voted Trump. And I went, oh man, it's just... Now, yeah, it's just depressing, when I find out that somebody that I actually like, I like this person, she's always been cool, and she voted Trump, and I'm just, it makes sense because this actually was the first time she'd ever voted too. Mm-hmm. She's in her early 30s, and the first time she's ever voted. So,
my thing is that okay, so you're in there, everybody that's around you is your neighbors. Do you care that little about your neighbors?
Right.
That you can't wear a mask for 20 minutes while you're in the fucking school. So it's fucked up. I mean, how long did it take you to vote? We were there about 10-15 minutes before the polls opened, so we were there. We were there early. Yeah, and we were home. Granted, it's right around the corner from us, but we were home by 7:20. So I mean, it was only maybe 15 minutes. But on a side note, that same trumpet that had the mask, I'm not sure his vote counted. Because he was right in front of me in line, and when he went to put his thing in, he just did his thing and just like marched his ass out. And the guy that was doing the polling was busy doing something else, and he came back and said, he's like, oh, just go ahead and put it in. I said, that shows an error from the last vote. Do you need to do something about that? And he went, oh, let me get the boss. And he went over and got somebody else, and the guy came over and looked at it and went, oh, wait, where is he? And he went chasing after the guy and couldn't find him and came back in. And I was reading what it said on there, and one of them was, voted too many times.
You got to be careful, man. You got to fill that thing out correctly.
And what I'm wondering is if he just went straight party and then went through and filled out every single one as well.
Yeah.
In which case, it's multiple votes and it rejected it.
See, if I was told that you could vote straight party and then you could still fill it out, but you had to fill it out right.
Yeah, so, there was one also. There were two errors on there, and I think one was that it said voted too many times, and the other one was unreadable selection or something like that.
Well, the irony.
Yeah.
I did just see, and I know we're gonna.
I hate to see anyone's vote not count, because I am a big believer in that every vote should count, and that we should get away from the Electoral College and go to a popular vote.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I think the popular vote is what needs to happen. I think the Electoral College is an outmoded concept. We don't need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been. There's apparently more than 12.5 thousand Michigan residents registered on election day. Registered to vote on election day.
Okay,
that's funny. Nothing like cutting it in, last minute there. I am starting to see a few results kind of thing, but the thing is there's still 100 million votes, mail-in votes to count.
I was already seeing 5 minutes after polls closed, Fox News had already declared Kentucky for Trump and Virginia
and Mitch McConnell.
Oh yeah, well, Mitch McConnell. I actually just looked that up. He is so far ahead of Amy McGrath. It would take a miracle for her to come back.
I don't understand that guy.
And that's at 69% reported.
I still don't understand how that guy can actually have a seat and can maintain it.
Dude, live in Kentucky for a while. The people outside of the major cities,
all right, fair enough,
are so red and so backwoods and so believe anything that Fox News tells them.
The hills of Kentucky.
Yep. Well, and they don't want to give up the power. McConnell's the most powerful senator there is right now.
Right.
And they don't want to give up that power because he can get things for the state.
Right.
And if they elect somebody new, then, like, if Amy McGrath had gotten in there, then she wouldn't have had that power because she'd have been a junior senator.
Right.
But yeah, they were already declaring states with 5 minutes left, 5 minutes after things voted. I'm like, there's less than 1% reported.
Right.
How can you declare states already?
It's saying something like Trump wins Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. Biden wins Massachusetts, Maryland, New Jersey, and Vermont, per media reports. So they're saying, Trump wins 4 states, Biden takes 7. I mean, who knows? It's going to be at least a week or more.
Yeah, they're saying here in Michigan it'll probably be Friday before we know. But yeah, the other thing with them declaring Virginia for Biden, if you look at the numbers, Trump was actually ahead in Virginia, and they were already declaring it as that Biden had won. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that when Trump is actually ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Not by a lot, but
I get it, brother. I get it. It's really fucking frustrating.
It is.
Hang on. Just I want to ask Stella to bring me something. Hey, Stella, can you bring me the book you got me? I just want to for later in the show. I want to show off this book I got. So anyway, what else? Your experience. Excuse me. I got to the polls about 8:30. Because I was like, thank you very much. And I, in my experience, going to the polls closer to 9 o'clock means shorter lines, mainly because a lot of the people that wanted to get their voting done before they went to work, they get it done then.
Yep.
It was still an hour and a half start to finish, like getting in line and then voting and getting done. I got done right around 10 o'clock.
Wow.
I was just like, I was shocked, because most of the time that I voted in the last couple elections, it's been 20 minutes max. More people, they're saying record numbers of people have turned out to vote.
Yep.
People that have never voted before, people that haven't voted in the last couple elections, people that went, Obama's going to win anyway. I'm not going to even have to even bother voting, that kind of thing. Or even in the last one where people were like, there's no way Trump will win. And so they're like, making sure that they get to the polls. So it does look like it's going to be a very close race either way. And my anxiety level is through the fucking roof. So
yeah,
between the election and then my car being in the shop, which, like I said, I mean, it's fixed. It's fine. I'm picking it up in the morning, but it's, I'm like, yeah, God. So I'm totally stressed out.
Yeah. And
hence drinking.
Yes. I tell you what, drinking has when I had a beer, Renee and I went out to Royal Oak Brewing tonight for dinner before the show, and the beer was going down really easy because it was exactly what I needed today. I did see something on Facebook earlier, and I wanted to share this before we get off this whole thing. But this was a great way, I think, to sum up what we're seeing and what the way that the entire country is feeling tonight. And it feels like the whole country is on Maury, waiting to see who the father is. And I'm like,
you are not the president.
Yeah, I'm like, that to me is exactly how it kind of feels. But now, to me, honestly, what I really want is, I want, when this is all said and done, for all the voices of America to just rise up and all at once, pointing at the White House, just yell out, "You're fired."
You're fired.
Yeah.
I think that would be genius. That would be so good. Oh, I would pay good money to see that. That's really funny. So anyway, the voting, at least I also did experience, I did see a couple people wearing like blatant Trump masks, or, they're talking about it. But I also saw some people that were like, man, that obviously voting for Biden. There was an old guy, quite an old guy who was all like, oh, that asshole fucking Trump, man, we got to get him out. It was just like, wow, all right, Grandpa, thanks for the vote. We can make sure we know your vote is. So that was really kind of funny and fun and nice. So the rest of the week, hey man, hope you had a good Samhain or Halloween, or whatever. For all of you guys out there, hope your holiday was great.
We have a small group of friends that we've still been kind of hanging out with. It's our quarantine group,
right?
Type of thing. And so we all got together for Halloween over at one of our friends' houses, and he smoked some ribs, did a barbecue, even though it was kind of chilly, and it was a good time. He got really hammered because he didn't have to drive anywhere, and it's rare to see him all that hammered. So he's a big Trump supporter, though. So that's the other thing, is that he's one of my Trump supporter friends.
He's one of your friends? Really?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, he's one of my... He stood up in my wedding. But, I mean, him and actually my best man in my wedding is also a Trump supporter. But I understand what they're looking at as far as Trump goes. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's one of those things where, other than... I still have a problem with Trump on a moral level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where a lot of my issues lie.
Right.
Is that I think he is a completely amoral human being.
Of course.
And I even hate to use the word human being with him.
Right. He's a sociopath.
Yes. So, I mean, I don't understand how anyone can truly support him. But we're in America. Everyone has the right to cast their vote however they want. So, but yeah, but it was a good night. It was a lot of fun. There wasn't a lot of political talk, which is good. We kind of stayed away from that, and just had a good time.
Good. I was at the Canterbury Village Halloween stroll, again working, performing as Oliver Roga, and had a lot of fun. Everybody was very, very well behaved, including myself. And I was actually in the haunt for a little while, and because the kid was playing our werewolf just bailed, and so I had to go into the cage, and which was really funny because I just got done like kind of talking and entertaining the line, and she put me in, and the girl was like, "Hey, I need you to be in the werewolf cage for a while." I'm like, "All right," and so when those people came through, they're all like, "Oliver, what are you doing in the cage?" And I'm like, well, they didn't like my jokes, so they made me go in here for a while." And it was so that was kind of fun. And ooh, the water bill, I have to pay this. Anyway,
Squirrel.
Earl. So anyway, yeah, it was fun. You know, it was a fun night, and like I said, I got it was a nice little payday for me. And then I also found out that they're going to be doing a Christmas stroll, and they want me to play. They won't be needing a makeup artist, but they do want me to play Jack Frost. So I'm gonna weekends in December, I'm going to be Jack Frost. So I don't know how many weeks, I don't know how many weekends, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think it'd be kind of fun. We're gonna put one of the ladies there that I know from Ren Fair is gonna put together a costume for me, and I'm gonna be Jack Frost.
Cool.
It should be fun. Yeah, Halloween itself was like I said, it wasn't my favorite way to spend Halloween, but at the same time, it wasn't horrible either.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, Stella had to work, and so I just kind of slept. It was my first day off in like 3 weeks. So I slept, and then I did a bunch of errands and tried to get some artwork in, and I went up to the bookstore and saw her and brought her. I got a Theater Bazaar mask from a friend of mine it's got a little Zombo with the symbol on it, and then they also printed makeup staff on the other side, so that was kind of cool. And I got another mask for Stella. It was just the Zombo. And yeah, I also picked up Xanathar's Guide while I was at the bookstore.
Cool.
Since Stella gets a lovely discount.
Did you pre-order Tasha's while you were there too?
I did not. But I will be probably picking that up because it does look pretty cool. And I don't think it's quite as expensive as some of the other ones. Like some of those books are like $50. I think this one is more like 30 retail.
Well, I think it's 50 unless you get it on like Amazon.
Oh, it might be pre-order like on Amazon and stuff. It's like 30.
Yeah, Amazon like discounts heavily on those books. You can usually get them on Amazon for 30, which is what kind of helps kill a lot of the local shops. But right. But when it's a 40% discount, I gotta go with Amazon. I want to support the local shops, but I mean, if it's gonna save me $20,
exactly. I can't. I mean, I try and support the local shops as much as I can. I still go to the comic shop. I will hit the bookstore, and for different things and stuff, and I still spend money at the local shops.
Oh yeah.
But I gotta admit, and that's the thing too. Like particularly if you want DVDs or Blu-rays, I mean, there's not as many. Like Best Buy doesn't carry as much as they used to.
No, they're getting out of all that because everything's going digital.
Well, yeah, but there's still always going to be some market for the hard copy, but like there's just not as much. They're not going to be carrying all the back ones. They're going to carry the shit that's just comes out right away. They'll carry some of the stuff that's maybe a year or two old. They'll carry some classics like the Disney stuff and whatnot. But you're not going to see like a huge, backlog, a huge big like.
Was that your phone?
It was. It's a normal episode, Chris. It's our anniversary episode. We have to put this up. So anyway, yeah. So you can still get a pretty decent selection at Target. So that's not too bad either. But anyway, so
dude, I couldn't tell you the last time I was at a Target.
Oh man. Regularly we go. But anyway, so it's still, Amazon is still a great place to find, to get, DVD sets and Blu-rays and whatever else, So yeah, I mean, there are some people that are like, man, you gotta support Bezos and everything. And it's like, my couple of bucks a month is not going to make that much difference. It's like, and like I said, I still, even though I buy on Amazon, I still support local businesses and
Yeah.
stuff too. It's kind of a little bit of both. So
Amazon just Amazon has made it so convenient for
right.
the lazy ass inside me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely the lazy ass inside of moi as well.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, I can just order like almost everything online. Fuck it.
I
Oh
you
wait,
know and
it's
I
cheaper than going to the store, and I get it in 2 days. Okay.
right. I honestly didn't for the longest time. Like I didn't wasn't comfortable shopping online, particularly for like clothing,
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, I want to be able to try it on and stuff like that. But now I've been doing it. I've been shopping. I've been using Amazon for a while now. Hell, I just got
Well,
two
and
pairs of jeans, two pairs of Levi jeans. I just ordered my
yeah,
size, and there they were.
yeah. Well, and it's like CD just said. It's they have instant delivery. It seals the deal, and
Yeah.
then you have Prime to avoid shipping, and
Right.
and with Prime you get a bunch of TV shows and shit like that too,
Movies
and movies and original programming. Which
and now and you can bundle, other services through
yeah,
Amazon too. Like I was getting HBO through Amazon. Now I'm
we get
getting
stars
HBO
through it.
Max
We get stars through Amazon.
right. So it just, I don't know. I think you gotta like temper it. You don't want to use Amazon for everything, but I'm going to use it for some things. Kind of
Yeah,
like you don't go to
I
Trader Joe's for everything.
right. Well,
You use it for
and like
something.
he said, I never looked at the free music. I haven't either. I don't look at the music there because I have Google. I have YouTube Premium,
Right.
and I have YouTube Music, and well, at the time before it was Google Play, now it's YouTube Music. But that's where I get a lot of my music from, is on there, because in all honesty, I had Pandora as well, but I've found that Google's like radio stations, like if you were to do like say Three Doors Down is one that I listen to all the time. I found that it was a great mix of music that I liked when I was out grilling or something like that.
Hmm.
When I was doing it on Pandora. Well, then I decided to try the same station, the same radio on Google Play, and I thought that the mix was actually better than Pandora.
Well, that's good.
And now that I've played it on YouTube Music as well, it's pretty much the same as what Google Music had. Slightly different, but pretty close. And I still think it's better than Pandora. So at this point, I'm like ready to just completely drop Pandora and just use YouTube Music for it.
I I've just been using YouTube a lot. I used a free Twitch subscription for Critical Role,
And
of
then he
course.
puts a bunch of the little
You know what?
emoticons.
That just reminds me, after the show, I need to re-up my subscription,
Yeah, how
my
much you
Prime
not? Let's
subscription.
not talk about it this week so that you don't spoil any more of the show for me.
The funny thing is, I am completely caught up except for the newest episode that was just posted on YouTube yesterday. So I listened.
Oh, let me tell you about it.
Fine. It's not like I'm not a big spoiler guy. Whatever. I mean, I'll still. It's not like I'm going to stop not listen to it. No, I listened to. So I was like, well, I gotta listen to some other stuff. I've been meaning to listen to the one shot they did for the Adventures of the Darrington Brigade, which was a show they did in Austin, a live show they did in Austin where they played. It was like 10 years after Vox Machina with Terry and Darrington. Sam Riegel's second character that he brought in. Were you aware of this character?
Yeah, I knew that he had another character that.
Yeah. Basically, Scanlon went off on his own for a while with his daughter, so he developed a new character.
Oh, is that what it was? He winds up going off with his daughter. I know he's got his. I've met his daughter, but
yeah, he basically decides to take some time and go off on his own with his daughter. So, and apparently Sam figured that the character would only last maybe 4 episodes, but he ended up lasting 15 and became a part of Vox Machina. And the concept was basically, he goes, I want a character that's kind of a nobody, and has bought all of his abilities. He's so rich that he was able to buy some very high-end magic items. And he's his class, he's an artificier.
mm-hmm.
So he also created it too. And he's got his golem, Dodie, that follows him around. And it's a fun character. And so the concept is that Tyrion Darrington, after the Adventures of Vox Machina end, he goes back to Wildmount because he's actually from Wildmount. He goes back to Wildmount and starts his own adventuring party, adventuring like a group of do-gooders to basically, do good, non-profit. He calls them a non-profit group of adventurers, and so all of the actors of the cast of Critical Role, they roll up new characters, and they are fucking hilarious. Travis and Liam team up, and they play a duo character. Travis plays, I think he's a halfling. He's a divine spellcaster.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? It's not a cleric. It's the divine. What's that class? Kind of
druid?
like a sorcerer. Kind of like a sorcerer class, but we're for divine spells instead of wizard spells.
There isn't one that I know.
There is. It's a newer class.
The divine spellcasters are clerics and druids.
There is another another caster class where you are essentially, you're not a cleric, but you're channeling divine energy, like a sorcerer channels it naturally, channels mystic energy.
I've never heard of this class.
You haven't heard of that? It's in there. I just can't remember what it is right now.
It may be a Matt Mercer created class.
I don't think so. It's in there. I'm pretty sure it's in the player's handbook. Or it might be.
It's not in the player's handbook, dude.
It might be in Xanathar's or something. But anyway,
there's no new classes in Xanathar's.
It's in there. Anyway, so Travis plays this halfling, and he does a voice. He sounds like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. So you got a very high-pitched Stitch, and it's really fucking funny. And Liam is playing an ogre named Buddy. And so the halfling rides on Buddy's shoulders, and they're like Master Blaster. And it's fucking hilarious. And Liam does this super deep, I'm Buddy. And he's virtually blind, too. So when they all show up, Tyrion gives a lot of the characters like items. And he gives them a pair of goggles that allows them to see. And it's so funny. Taliesin plays a character called the Owl Bear, and he's a complete Batman ripoff. It's hilarious. And Laura plays a Genasi monk, and then what's her name? Ashley plays like a rogue character, but she plays her like she's like an Italian mafioso. So goddamn funny. And then Marisha plays a dwarven bard that is a one-man band. She's got like a one-man band suit, and she creates like an audio recording device and wants to create the first Tyrion Darrington audiobook. And she talks just like a 1920s like newscaster. And it's really, really funny. I highly recommend if you need.
So we got people. Renee is saying that Macaroni's a cleric.
Well, she spelt it wrong. Cleric. Thank you for fixing that.
Yeah, but
Renee.
That's fine. But she's saying that he's a cleric.
I think I'm going to research this. I could have swore that there was some kind of spell casting class that was where you channeled divine energy, but it wasn't. You're not a cleric. It's more like you're a sorcerer.
No, there's not, dude.
Where did I see that? Unless it was.
He's a halfling cleric. I just brought him up. Macaroni Samsonite is a halfling cleric.
All right, maybe I'm mistaken. I'm willing to admit when I'm mistaken, but I could have swore it was in there. I saw it somewhere. Where did I see that?
The only divine spellcasters are cleric, druid, ranger, paladin. Those are the four divine spellcasters. Those are the only ones that cast divine spells in 5th edition.
Wizard, artificer, blood hunter. I'm looking at my D&D Beyond, and you're right. Those are the ones that are coming up. Maybe it was some kind of subclass of cleric. and it was like something where you don't choose a direct god or goddess or something. Fuck me, I don't know. Anyway, so anyway, it's really really funny. It's hilarious because of the boss fight they get into, and Matt is the DM, but Liam or Sam Riegel goes back to playing Tyrion, and it's just really funny to see him back in that role again and whatnot, because he was very different from Scanlan. So hey, we've been talking a lot and jumping over things. How about what are you drinking?
Well, my beer's almost gone already.
What were you drinking, Chris?
It'll probably be fixed in just a minute, but this was an IPA. As I take another drink and finish that off, it is actually the Royal Oak Brewery's Royal Pride IPA. As I get a refill here, thank you to my beautiful assistant.
You're welcome.
And all right, that's good. Thank you. So it's a beautiful copper color. Jeremy, the head brewer up there, does an absolutely fantastic job. This is a great example of an English IPA. This it's got the bitter notes. It's not citrusy. It's much more earthy in its bitterness, but it's not overpoweringly bitter. It's a really well balanced IPA. There's a lot of the bittering for the hops, but it's not, like I said, overpowering. It's just really fucking tasty, and I really like this one a lot. I will give this 4.5 star bottle caps. Unfortunately, unless you're in the Detroit area, you will not be able to get this because they do not distribute. You have to go to the Royal Oak Brewery to actually get this beer. So this is actually the first beer that I know of that I've repeated on the show. Mm-hmm. And part of it was because I was up there tonight and it's one of my favorites that they do. But this one I did on episode 100, actually, when we were at the Royal Oak Brewing Company talking with Jeremy and Paulie from Stone Clover.
I remember that. Yes, that was a lovely evening.
That was our last live show.
It was.
We probably would have. I would have been looking at doing one for 200.
No. We did. The last live show was the one at the Ren Fair.
Was it? Was
that
after
we did
100?
that after. We did that after 100.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain. Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look, but yeah, okay. That one was another great show.
Oh, it was that one was one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, it was one of my. Honestly, you getting that glass of water was. Was one of the high points of the night.
Anything, that was one of the funniest parts of that too was looking right at my friends Carl and Chris and just them going, "Ha!" Just like laughing their asses off when they saw my face because I was just like,
yeah. For those that don't know, we did a live show at a pub out by the Michigan Renaissance Festival. We had a bunch of Rennies on, and it was absolutely a fantastic and really fun show. Russ wasn't feeling great though.
We did like 2.5 hours, and we had several different performers from the Renaissance Festival on the show. We had
we did it outside on the deck, and it was kind of chilly and
my friend Dale sat in, and the entertainment director Maria sat in, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and we had Dave Kish and and Sir Jamie.
Yes, from the Rogue Blades. It
picked us on. It was just a lot of fun. But Russ wasn't feeling great, and he was drinking water for most of the night, and he had asked for another glass of water. And those big plastic glasses that they
huge tumblers
that they bring out for water, they bring him out this glass with ice and water and a straw, and he takes a sip and realizes that the entire glass is vodka. Not water.
No,
it's Russian water.
They must have spent $20 on that.
Yeah, he had like half a fifth of vodka in.
Yeah, you could see it was funny too because they because it was full of, there's a lot of ice too,
Yeah.
and because of the the chemical properties of alcohol and ice and stuff like that, the outside of the glass was frosting up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, it had to have something to do with the alcohol and everything. And I was like, I handed it to, I'm like, who wants this? Cannot drink this entire glass of fucking vodka here. It was a good prank. It was a really good prank.
Just your face was just hilarious. I wish we were I wish we were actually doing live streaming at the time.
Yeah.
Because your face was absolutely priceless for that. That was absolutely hilarious.
That would have been the best if we had that. That was a lot of fun. But we all got, we all probably got a bit tipsier than we normally do.
Yeah.
Jamie, I know Jamie and Dave were well into their cups, and this shit
was
just
just
got
so
funnier
much
and
fun.
I think
so funny.
Lauren from Pictus, she had a few too many at that point too, and she
Pictus was great too. To be honest,
they were great. They're great people. They're really great people, and the whole group. I'd love to actually. We need to contact Dave and just have him into one of the guests we need to have on soon, and on our Zoom calls and stuff, because he's a great guy, and we'd love to have him on again.
Yeah,
and a true blue nerd, man. He's right there up there with us. So,
and one of our earliest supporters.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It really pushed us and supported us when we were starting out.
Yes, because he does one called the Renaissance Guys, and they more specifically talk movies. They're very much a movie podcast, but still a great podcast too. I've listened to it many times.
So what are you drinking?
I am drinking, once again, because I have zero time to go to the store, I am drinking a Mad Farmer, a 4-berry pie cider. I've shown it. I've had this several times on the show. It's a great berry cider. Last night I did a little drinking. It was the Day of the Dead party. And I had some 19 Crimes red wine. It's a really nice. It's a nice, moderately priced red wine that you can get at a lot of wine shops. I think you can find it just even at the grocery store and stuff. Runs between $8 and $10 a bottle, I think. So it's not super cheap. It's not your $2 chuck or $3 chuck, but it's a nice red wine. So had some of that, and I also had some Witch's Brew last night as well. But this is a great cider. Like I said, I've had it a few times. It's Mad Farmer from it's hard cider with Montmorency cherry, blackberry, blueberry, and raspberry flavors, and it is by this is a Detroit. Well, Mad Farmer, I believe, is the cidery. Established in 2018 in Detroit, Michigan. So it's a lovely cider, 6% ABV, and no, I really like it. It's nice cider, similar to the Traffic or the Triple Jam from Blake's, but it's similar but not the same. Like for that, which is essentially the definition is similar. It's just not the same, but it's comparable. It's comparable to that. So yeah, Black Fang bottling it tomorrow, motherfuck.
There goes Russ's paycheck.
Yeah, that's right. Renee did get a picture of me taking that drink and whatnot. So
okay, so the Murph edition was 2 episodes before our 100th. That was
was it?
That was the 98th. I just looked it up. Because because I thought you were right. I thought it was after, but I'm like,
I could have swore it was after. Yeah.
No, our 100th was actually October 8th of 18. And our Murph edition was September 23rd. Okay. So,
it's wild that we did so many. We did a couple
did 2
of mobiles right in a row.
Yeah, we had one that we didn't do mobile in between.
Right.
But still.
Okay, so that's what we've been drinking, guys. Check out mine once again as the 4-berry pie cider from Mad Farmer, and yours again was
the Royal Pride IPA from Royal Oak Brewing Company, which unfortunately you can only get here in the Detroit area.
Looks like both relatively local ones. So yeah.
So one of the things we need to talk about is we lost a legend over the weekend.
Oh, yes, we did.
I'll take.
He is the last one.
I'll take the rapists for 200.
The penis mightier than the sword. The penis mightier. Yes. That's what your mother said last night, Trebek.
Yeah, we lost Sean Connery over the weekend, which was
90 years old.
90 years old. So I mean, he had a good life, but still, it's when I saw Sean Connery, I didn't think 90.
Yeah. Well, Sean Connery has, kind of disappeared. His last movie was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He that movie, his experience on that movie was enough for him to say, you know what, I think I'm done, and was pretty much done. That was his last one. I had meant to maybe watch a Sean Connery movie over the weekend, just kind of because it was announced on Friday that he had shuffled off this mortal coil. Always enjoyed Sean Connery. In fact, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade is easily one of my favorite films of all time. And so,
well, I mean, he was in so many good movies. There were a few movies that I've seen that he's been in that I could say I didn't like.
Sure.
I mean, Untouchables was just fantastic. Highlander. We won't talk about the other one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Rock, even. I truly enjoyed that movie. I know it's a Nicolas Cage movie, and a lot of people give it shit.
Hi,
but
I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
But I truly enjoyed that movie, and honestly, Sean Connery was the best thing in that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was just so many things that as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, all that. But then you actually go back though, and one of my buddies actually posted a picture of him saying, greatest movie costume of all time, and it's one I had no idea about. And it was
Zardoz,
man? From 1974, the Zardoz. I'm like, holy shit! Yeah. I'm like, it looks like something Borat would wear.
Oh my god! Well, when you really think about it, what movie? What year?
74.
74. Okay, so that movie's 46 years old, right? If Bond was a Time Lord. Yeah. I agree. If you think about it, if he died, he's 90 this year. He was 43, 44 when he put that costume on in 1974. Looks pretty good, I mean, that costume didn't leave much to the imagination.
Yeah, he was born in 30. So yeah, he was in his early 40s.
So he was 40, it usually takes about a year to make the movie before it comes out and everything. So he was about 43, maybe 42, 43 when he made that movie. Guy looked pretty good for his age. Mortademos. We got a new
Mortademos.
Mortademos.
Welcome.
That sounds familiar. I don't know. Do I know you, Mortademos? Bond was a Time Lord. He certainly was. So what else? That really sucked. I was really kind of bummed out, but at the same time, he was 90. It's not like Prince when he died at 60, or Bowie and that kind of stuff. It was. Or even Robin Williams when he passed away seemed kind of young when he passed.
Well, so, the problem with Robin Williams was that he took his own life. So that was a tragedy on a whole different level. That someone who
damn it,
created,
Sean.
Who created?
Sorry, that I know who Mortademos is.
Okay. But yeah, so actually, seeing that, I think I know who Mortademos is.
Yeah, it's Sean Nicolin from New Jersey. Thank you, Sean. We gotta have Sean on too. He mentioned it to me a couple weeks ago. He wanted to be on the show again. So
cool. Yeah,
we gotta make sure we have him on.
And Sean, if you can, give us a follow.
We need more followers.
But anyway, the whole thing.
Guest star of episode 6. He was episode 6.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that was a long time ago. Holy shit.
Long time ago, yeah.
It's like 4 years ago.
We definitely got to have him on.
Yeah.
Again,
but yeah, so, one of the ones that I didn't even mention for Sean Connery, though, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Right. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
one of my
just,
favorites
yeah.
of all time. And,
So,
and he's got so many great one-liners in too. In that, it's like,
oh yeah,
Junior, the floor's on fire,
yeah.
and now my chair. I should
We-
have sent it to the Marx Brothers. You know.
We named the dog
We
Indiana.
named the dog Henry Jones Jr. Jr. Yeah, I mean that was so good. And you know, funny thing is, interesting when Sean Connery, or in the much maligned fourth Indiana Jones movie, Harrison Ford was the same age when he filmed the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. He was the same age that Sean Connery was when they filmed Crusade. They so, and suddenly I
don't know what movie you're talking about there, Russ. It's like
it's the coaster that comes in the box set. All right. Christ.
But yeah,
anyway,
so
we should raise.
I raised my glass
raise a
to Sean Connery because he
Connery.
really was one of the greats.
Exactly.
He wasn't one of my favorite Bonds, but he other than that, I mean, I've loved him in everything I've seen.
Everything else. Yeah, he was great, and we'll miss you,
So,
Sean.
yep.
Maybe in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead.
Yep. So, other than that, one of the other huge things from the weekend, also on Friday, the Mandalorian season 2 premiere.
I think. Okay, this might take us some time. So before you get into that, let me show you one thing too.
Okay.
So
what are you gonna show me?
Last week, I asked Ella to pick up a book for me.
Oh, nice.
Critical Role.
The World of
Critical Role. So this is a great hardcover book that just came out. They put it out. It is essentially, it's the history behind Critical Role and their show and everything, about it. And it is really great. I haven't read it book cover to cover yet. It is, of course, it is over 300 pages, but it's got some great art from various fans from around the way. It's got a lot of some stuff that's been, I don't know if it's considered the pro stuff and whatever, but each chapter is named after a line in the theme song. So the first chapter is the adventure begins, they were always beside you. The chapter 2 is your nerdy best friends and the DM to guide you. So it goes on from there.
Nice.
And it's really cool. It talks about like the beginning of the home game, and it goes into each member of Critical Role has kind of a several page biography about them. Like here's Taliesin Jaffe and stuff like that. It's got kind of a history of some of a little bit of their work, and then like how they got into the game and stuff like that. Then there's a chapter about how Matt goes into like how he preps the game boards. There's chapters about like highlights from the various campaigns and stuff like that. It was written a bit ago, so it does have a lot about the Mighty Nine as well, but it's not near as close to like where they are in the game now. But yeah, some really great cool stuff. The book is really cool. I am looking forward to reading it cover to cover. It retails at $35, which isn't too bad for a 300-page hardcover book of this magnitude with all of the photographs and artwork in here. So yeah, it's pretty great. You guys want to check it out?
So yeah, that's cool. I want to check that out. I'm just looking at what Sean's been posting in the chat, and I'm like, keep it up, Chuckles. You won't get asked to the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Listen, smartass. You like the shit just as much as we do. So making fun of us, you're just making fun of yourself.
But yeah, so speaking
my
of
best friends,
so some of the other things that I wanted to bring up real quick. Speaking of
foil. Yeah.
you were bringing up Critical Role and how they started and all that stuff. Well, our show Tavern Nights will be back this Friday. We've had a couple of weeks off. I don't know if you can make it or not this week. I know you got work stuff, so
should be able to.
Even if you have to make it late, that's cool.
I may be late, but I should be able to make the game. By the way, I was listening to the first part today of the episode that I didn't appear on. I did notice you gave away my Warhammer to a couple of indigent prisoners. Thank you very fucking much.
Well, but I figured you would do that.
I probably would have helped them, yes. And it is weird how when the paladin isn't there, everybody just got real dark. Like, they were like, Lauka's all like, I don't trust them. Are they stupid? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Christ, Sydney, they were in a cage. I mean, we should just give them a,
Rich found that funny.
Send them to the like, can we tell them where our horses are? And then they're like, yeah, they're going to run off with our horses. So, well, maybe. I mean, I actually was looking at my paladin spells, and there is basically a spell for summoning a mount for me, and it's similar to like summoning a familiar for a sorcerer or a mage, and but it's a mount. It's a mystic, and it can be all kinds of mounts. You can have whatever, I guess. So I'm going to look into that a little bit more, because I had said something about maybe getting a horse for myself, like an actual. So we'll have to see. But okay, bye. Yeah, I was like, that's some cold shit, man.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of cold with the prisoners.
Sean, you should listen to our Tavern Nights, and it's a hell of an example of us.
Yeah, you can catch up and watch the episodes on YouTube if you want.
We're only 5 in, so
yeah.
Five episodes in.
But anyway, talking about that though, and some of the stuff that's been going on, and because with this group, several members of the group are new players from when this was their first campaign,
right?
And including Rich, who's commenting, and Renee, who's also commenting, and then their brother Pete, who is also new. Well, Pete actually he's so into this, and Rich has done the same thing with his daughters, but Pete actually for Halloween, because of the whole COVID thing, they did this whole Harry Potter thing at home. And Pete actually ran a Harry Potter based D&D adventure for his kids and his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just cool as hell. I thought that was really cool that he's that into it. And he said it went really well, and they had a great time. I'm
surprised there hasn't been an official Harry Potter role-playing game.
Yeah.
Although there is a big video game coming out for the next console.
Is there?
Yeah, the Wizarding World. It's going to be an open world kind of thing. It's set right around the turn of the century, right around the late 1800s, right into 19. So
okay. Well, but also speaking of Pete from Tavern Nights, he finally watched Princess Bride for the first time ever.
The actual fuck, man.
And he still hasn't seen Goonies.
Pete, man, somebody needs to tie him.
Oh, hey, Pete's on.
Yeah, I see that.
Hey, Pete.
Everybody's watching right now. Somebody needs to tie Pete to a fucking chair, and with those hold his eyes open in Clockwork Orange, and just, man, all right, dude, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna watch the classics, all right? So we need to get set him up with a whole bunch, man. Yeah, you better watch the Goonies. God damn it. Who doesn't? What kind of? I know
Goonies is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, I know he's a little younger than us, but holy shit, so much missed pop culture references. Exactly, like God's above.
Well, he hasn't seen Christmas Story either, which Renee didn't like because she doesn't to her that was just child abuse and and all the things that were going on.
Oh, that's just how they did things back then.
Yeah. The thing is, where we grew up, we were still doing that kind of shit.
Yeah, the soap in the mouth.
Well, I got threatened with that, but I never actually had it happen.
I never actually had that. By the 80s, they had pretty much stopped.
Yeah, they would threaten you with it, but you didn't. They never actually followed through.
You got to remember the Truffle Shuffle. Yeah.
Oh, CD said he had the soap. Yeah.
But that's the thing about Christmas Story. It is. I mean, it took place in the 40s or in the 30s and 40s. So it's. I mean, it was I think it was pre-war.
It was 50s.
Was it 50s?
Yeah, it was the 50s. It was post-war.
Well, it was real early. I mean, I think because his dad served. But that's the thing. They didn't have a TV. They only had a radio. So it was pre-TV. It was soapy. I'll bet.
Okay, you're right. Actually, it was pre-war. It's 1939 is when it was supposed to take place.
Yeah,
and it's set in a small town in Indiana.
Or in a D&D game where the dungeon was straight from the Goonies. That does not surprise me at all, Sean. Sean was my dungeon master for several years, and we had a great time. He's a really good DM. That's when I played my Korak, the Gnollish cleric character, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Pete needs to be strapped down to a fucking chair. Honestly, that entire clan, honestly, your wife and her brothers need to be just like tied to chairs and forced to watch.
Renee has seen Goonies, and she actually watched Christmas Story with me, although she didn't care for it. Well, like she said, she thought it was garbage.
Even so, like some of those movies, man, I just know, like if Pete hasn't seen the Goonies, I can only imagine. Let's see, Goonies, Princess Bride, Labyrinth, and Neverending Story. Yes, exactly. All of those. Particularly Neverending Story. Needs to feel the pain.
Yeah, Renee has not seen Neverending Story.
Needs to feel the pain of the Swamp of Sadness.
Artax! That kid, the kid that did that at Dragon Con, though, fucking won Dragon Con. Or maybe killed Dragon Con.
Yeah. Yeah, it hits you in the feels, man.
Yeah.
And then you got, and then of course, Labyrinth, you got The Dark Crystal.
Legend.
All those movies. Legend, Willow.
Which we were just talking about that Willow, they're going to have the sequel TV show.
The sequel TV show soon. Exactly. But I can only imagine what movies they haven't seen. Like, how about, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or The Breakfast Club, or 16 Candles, or Better Off Dead. I mean, all of these.
Renee saw Better Off Dead. She didn't. She at the time hated it. The more she thought about it, she liked certain aspects of it, but she thought that the what killed it for her was the $2 kid. It was the Paperboy.
The Paperboy was what did it. That was the thing that broke her on that one.
She actually did laugh out loud when the food moved off the plate.
I was gonna say, or the real aardvark fur jackets with antlers and.
But she also said that she looked at it and said that was a cry of that Lane had a mental issue. That is a mental health issue, and it needed to be addressed and taken care of.
How about some of the real toxic movies like Revenge of the Nerds?
Oh yeah, that was serious.
One of those movies that could never be made now.
No. Well, most of Mel Brooks movies couldn't be made now.
Claire's a fat girl's name.
Yeah. Breakfast Club reference.
Oh shit. Oh man.
Oh.
That's so funny. Oh.
Oh, so many good movies from the 80s.
I could tape your buns together.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely love The Breakfast Club. My daughter, who is 20 years younger than me, I was 20 when she was born, she loves The Breakfast Club. She thinks it is absolutely
timeless. It's timeless.
Because those cliques still exist.
Mm-hmm. And that they still have those issues and problems. And it's something that almost everybody can what's canceled? What CD? I don't get it. What's canceled? Um, it's one of those movies that almost anybody can relate to at some point, and you could be a kid from it. Honestly, any of those movies that what's his name made,
John Hughes.
John Hughes, any of those John Hughes movies, that's what made them so great, was that they were very relatable, and particularly for middle class America. That
we could be living like
it's
fat cats in Sherman, Illinois.
Yeah, Shermer,
Illinois. You know what we found out? There is no Shermer, Illinois.
Thank you, Jay and Silent Bob. No, that's true. A lot of those movies have been quote unquote canceled because they are now people recognize some of the things that went on in those movies as being very toxic. And being, assault. Honestly, there's some of the shit that goes down in the Revenge of the Nerds is straight up sexual assault. So,
it is.
And they just couch it in a funny manner or something like that.
There's rape in it. Honestly.
Right, exactly. But they don't present it as such. So and people didn't understand a lot, and that's the thing.
Porkies.
Early to mid 80s, a lot of people didn't think of something like that as happening, or like the panty raids or whatever else. Or
CD just brought up Porkies.
Oh, Porky's. Porky's is, the hidden cameras. Thank you, CD. That was another point I was going to make. The hidden cameras. Porky's is is exactly like that. And yeah, Sean, I did catch the Ferris Bueller reference in Spider-Man Homecoming. That was really great. In fact, it was even Ferris Bueller was even on the screen. They were watching it as he passes by in a very similar manner, going through the yards and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty great. That's one of the things. Homecoming was such a great film. Both of the most recent Spider-Man movies. Fucking fantastic.
I want to see what they do with the next one, because
yeah, absolutely. I'm so looking forward to it. Doctor Strange is going to be guesting in that movie, and they're saying it's probably going to introduce the multiverse, and as well as Doctor Strange, which is in the madness of the multiverse.
The multiverse of madness,
something like that. Yeah. So before we get into Mando, I was going to mention also, because we need to move on.
Yeah.
I also watched the latest episode of Discovery, of Disco.
Yes.
Discovery. It is compoundingly getting better.
I'm enjoying this season
a great deal. The first season was good. I liked it. There are some people that had
the first season. I thought was kind of it was finding its feet.
It started kind of slow. It had its criticisms. People had its criticisms, but it ended really good. And then the second season with Pike and then they had obviously listened to the detractors. They fixed some of the issues people had, and it was again so much better. It was so good. And then
the end of season 2, they're like, okay, we've got this super highly advanced ship that is nowhere in Star Trek canon.
Right.
How do we fix this?
Right. Well, let's take them out of the history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll port them to the future.
Yeah.
And wow, what a future it is.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, in the latest episode, we saw them go to Earth. And I haven't seen huge, glaring examples of the technology being so advanced. But we did see shots of the cities, and we did see that they have their personal transporters, and we did see little things.
One of the other things that we're seeing is that nobody uses warp technology anymore, right? Because dilithium blew up, right? And anyone with an active warp core blew up.
Right.
Boom.
So apparently, billions of people died, and a lot of them, the Federation was the hardest hit.
Yeah.
Because when you really think about it, say the Romulans don't use dilithium-based warp technology. They use their warp engines are powered with a miniature sun, or a miniature black hole, a quantum singularity. So, from what I understand, they didn't use dilithium, but the Klingons did, and of course the Federation did, and probably the Andorians. It was, if you look at the canon too, the Romulans had been, their situation had been pretty fucked up by the end of by the by the end of Picard,
Hmm.
So, um, and I mean, we're really seeing some really interesting things. I hope they kind of stay on Earth for a little while because I'd like to see how Earth is maybe changed in 1,000 years.
I don't think they're
Um,
going to. The way I got the impression I got was they had that little trip down, and
and
then
they're
they were
gonna
going
go.
to take off and go somewhere else
I just really because 1,000 years, 930
because
years
they're
is a big jump. I would really have liked to have seen what exactly they um what exactly they changed or what
Mhm.
has changed more so because I
I
mean
want them.
if you think about the technology jump from 1,000 years ago from here to now, it's gigundous, it's immense, it's incredible, so I
My
would really like to see what that
my thing
rebuilds.
is that why don't they just go? Um, hey, can we download the history for
Sure.
the
Yeah, they
because
should.
they made it obvious that they had been not been around. They were on a secret mission for so long, and
And then they were the
they were descendants.
descendants. Hmm.
So what happened?
Right.
Let us see your version of what happened.
And maybe they will. Maybe they
Yeah,
will. I mean, maybe we'll see that. I mean, Michael had been there for a year. She probably has some idea of some of the
yeah.
things, but she was
That,
also really
okay,
far
so
away from Earth.
that was one of the issues I had though was Michael had been there for a year,
Hmm.
but it seemed like it was so much longer. First of all, your hair does not grow that long in a fucking year.
Sure. Yes.
If they
Well,
had said
maybe.
she had been there for 3 to 5 years, I'd have bought it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe she had also. I mean, she could have done stuff to her hair. She could have made, some
I
supplements
said
or
it's probably
whatever.
extensions, but it the that just that was one of the things that got me was that
Mhm.
it's like there's some things in the Mandalorian that got me too. That
Okay. Well, I mean, like I said, we're still going to see some, but we're the hyper nerds that are going to nitpick
yeah.
and pull things apart too. So I think overall, it was a really good, particularly the third episode, really good episode. Really established some of the difficulties of what Earth is dealing with and stuff, being kind of on their own, being without being able to travel at warp speeds. I mean, they can obviously travel still using sublight technology, but they
And
can't.
Discovery's perfect for this world, this environment because they can use the spore drive.
Right, exactly. And they still have dilithium, which is apparently extremely rare. And I see from
Right,
what it
but
looks like
they don't risk using it for their warp drive because they're
because they're
afraid that it'll
afraid. Right.
right.
Yeah.
So, but they've got the spore drive, so they can still teleport wherever they want to
I
go.
think what's going to happen is we're going to see this whole season is going to be finding out why the burn happened, what
Hmm.
happened, and it's going to be them because from what I understand, from what the producers say, they're staying in the future.
Oh yeah.
So I think what we're going to see is at the end of this season, in the next like 2 seasons, we're going to see them rebuilding the Federation. We're going to see them figuring out what happened, why the burn happened, and we're going to see them starting to rebuild the Federation. So
Hmm.
that's my guess. That's my bet. So once again, we should move on. We did a lot of like bullshitting. So
Yeah.
Rich left.
Yeah.
He's going to see us on Friday. See you later, buddy.
He's
Um, so the
he's
Mandalorian
just getting
season
over
one.
COVID, so
Oh yeah, yeah. Good lord. So
he's
season
finally
one.
got it. He's
Or,
finally got his sense of taste back. His sense of
yeah, I
smell and
remember
taste.
him seeing writing about that
Yeah.
in the Discord channel about how everything just tasted like nothing.
He
So
he had a KBS, which is a uh, really strong coffee stout from Founders,
mhm.
and he's like, I wasted it
It tasted like
because he
water.
said it tasted like cold water.
Right. Um.
But
Yeah.
but yes,
See,
so
episode one, season two of the Mandalorian.
yes, there will be a couple of spoilers here. Um, if you haven't seen it, there we will be talking about it a little bit. But I've been seeing so much
Or
online
or
that
if you care
yeah.
about spoilers.
Um, but holy shit, what a way to fucking open up
Wow. Yeah.
the season.
Kicking it off hardcore. It's great.
First off, Timothy Oliphant is still one of my favorite actors.
He was really great. He
I
was really
loved him
great.
on Justified. That show was absolutely fantastic. But seeing him as the marshal in this one, and him walking in
Yeah.
with Boba Fett's ill-fitting armor on him.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. I mean, because they had hinted that we were going to see hints of Boba Fett, or what happened to Boba Fett. They had talked about it in previous, in the show, in the previous episodes and stuff, or like not in the episode.
There had been rumors that's who found Ming-Wan Nen, her character, when she got killed. There was somebody that walked up at the very end, and someone had said that was Boba Fett.
Right.
And that was on Tatooine. So that was the other thing. So okay, great. And then to hear that I was hearing things over the summer that Timothy Olyphant had been cast, and that he was going to be, that there were like pictures of him in Boba Fett's armor, and everyone was like, well, what the hell? Right. How is he going to be Boba Fett? And it was, I'm interested to see how they play this out. I've got trust in Favreau and what's his name? Fellini or whatever, the other guy, the other showrunner. On how they will put everything together. Yeah. But yeah, he had Boba Fett's armor. He had gotten it from Jawas. I want to see how that all came about. And I think we're gonna find that out. I saw a meme earlier, and it showed like the last scene of the first episode where there's that reveal. Yeah. And then the next thing below it was every Star Wars fan over 40. And it was the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing, going, ah! Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, because I mean, I saw him doing, like wearing the armor, and I'm like, there's no way that's Boba. And then it
obviously doesn't fit.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't fit right and stuff, but it is still a Mandalorian armor. And apparently, I mean, for whatever reason, apparently it's like, +5 Holy Avenger armor. Because you can't, I mean, it makes you damn near invincible. So
well, if it's actually what's the metal?
Beskar,
yeah. If it's actually Beskar armor, yes.
Correct. And so it was like,
and no, you're not getting Beskar armor for your paladin.
Maybe not right now. I'm only 5th level. Give it time, man. Shit.
Is he crying?
Maybe at like 10th level. I don't know. So yeah, I liked the reference. We talked about how the dragon basically, like, well, it's living in an old Sarlacc pit. Nothing lives in a Sarlacc pit unless something eats the Sarlacc. It's just like, so. But it was just really cool. I loved how it was very much like, let's bring I mean, it's such an old Western. It's like,
it is.
Instead of it could very. I mean, it was basically the Native American tribe, the local Native American tribe, teamed up with the white town to defeat. Yeah. To defeat the bad guys. And the interesting thing is too, apparently they talked to one of the guys that were playing the Sand People, one of the Tusken Raiders, was deaf, and they used a sign language, American sign language, basically to develop the sign language that the Tusken Raiders use.
Okay.
Obviously, they use a series that they do speak, but they also use hand signals too to speak as well. I loved how they came together to defeat it. And of course, the two guys in the Beskar armor at the end, trying to save the day, and it was very much like a hero's kind of ride right there. It was really, really fucking cool.
You take care of the child.
CD, we warned you there were going to be spoilers, man.
Yeah.
We warned you, brother.
But yeah, the
So, yeah.
you take care of the child. What are you gonna
Yeah.
do? I don't know. Bang!
Right. It just, yeah.
Which was such an homage to Return.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he just
Yeah.
hits him in the jetpack and he goes flying off, just
Right.
like Boba Fett did.
Yeah. Boba Fett. Boba Fett. I meant for your I meant for your D&D game. Yeah. Get this special. Might get my adamantium plate and. So. Yeah, and then of course, so it was great. It turned out great. He ended up getting he basically earned the armor.
Well, and it's the first time that we ever actually see a crate dragon.
Is that what that was?
Yes, that was a crate dragon.
Okay.
In a Star Wars, a live crate dragon in Star Wars. We see the skeleton of one in New Hope.
Right.
But it's the first time that we actually see a crate dragon. And it's not what I thought. I was not expecting a sandworm.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
or a sandworm / tremor thing.
I had no expectations of it personally, and so it was just kind of cool all around.
Yeah, and it's spewing the acid.
That acid that just dissolved some.
Yeah,
man, they lost a lot of the Raiders. Lost a lot of fucking members of their tribe, man.
Yeah, you notice it was mostly the Raiders that lost it too.
Yeah, for sure. It was that was gross, but I mean, they one of the good guys won in the end and took out this fucking nasty monster, and like I said, he earned the marshal gave him the armor. I think we're definitely going to see this character again.
Well, if it's anything like last season, we will. Every character he meets is going to wind up having a part to play later on.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah, exactly. Like they're going to have some kind of role to play later on, and I like that. Hey, why not? He's making friends wherever he goes, so we'll see. And man, it's just
hopefully the marshal doesn't get killed like Quill.
Fun. What's that?
I said hopefully the marshal doesn't get killed like Quill.
Right. I agree. And then, of course, we do see at the end there, we see
there's a figure standing, watching him go right across the Dune Sea.
Yeah, he's got Tusken Raider weapons.
Yep, he's got the gaffy stick and the rifle.
Right.
And the robes, and he's bald, and he turns around, and it's the actor that played Jango Fett.
Right. Was it Tamara Morrison or something like that? Yeah. And so you're like, holy fuck. And I almost looked like he had been like burned.
He had like a scar across his face. Yeah. He definitely he had definitely been through some shit.
Yeah. I mean, he'd also be a bit older at that point too. He wasn't a young man in Jedi. He'd been around a while. So
well, I mean, you figure in Jedi he'd have been in his 30s.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, about thereabouts. So,
based on how old Boba would have been in,
because Boba was just a kid.
Yeah.
In the first trilogy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was so good, dude.
Yeah. The other thing is, I didn't realize he's actually playing another role. He's actually going to play a clone in this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Rex. Who's from Clone Wars.
Okay.
He's actually going to play Rex as well.
That's cool. I haven't watched the Clone Wars, but it's on my list, But I am familiar with the fact that, I mean, all the clones looked like Boba Fett, essentially. Yeah. So it looked like Jango. So it should be that should be interesting too, because we are going to see what Aayla Secura, the character? No,
Ahsoka Tano.
What?
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano. Mm-hmm. So I saw an interesting side note. I saw an interesting thing at the bookstore the other day. There is a book that details all of the lightsabers shown in Star Wars and in all the games and all of the various different movies and the video games and the cartoons and stuff. So anybody that has ever wielded a lightsaber is shown in this book. They give a little blurb about it, and the book is very long and narrow, so it shows like a really good drawing of of the actual hilt of each lightsaber. It explains like the differences between the different styles of the lightsabers, and the fact that like Kylo Ren's crossblade lightsaber was not the first one. That was like an older style of lightsaber from many years ago, and so it was pretty.
Well,
cool.
Dooku's was a French style, which
right.
Was funny.
It was a fencing foil.
Yeah,
and it was more. They considered it much more elegant than.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's like my because I have a French foil.
Right.
Because that's the type that I used.
Or a rapier.
Yeah.
More like a rapier. Really.
Well, it's because of the bend at the end.
Right.
That was part, like my French foil for fencing, that actually I actually have that's got that little bend at the end that hooks around your finger to hold it to actually it's better secure in your hand. But it is more of a fencing weapon.
Right.
It's
well,
not...
From what I understand, one of the reasons why they did that is not. I mean, it was kind of cool because that was one of the cool things about the prequels is that it showed us that there were other forms of lightsabers beyond just the standard samurai sword lightsaber, because that was the thing. Luke and Vader and Obi-Wan pretty much always just wielded their lightsabers like a katana for the most part. That was their style of fencing. So the prequels showed us that there were other styles. They showed us of course the double-ended lightsaber of Darth Maul. We saw the fencing lightsaber of Count Dooku. We also saw I think there's a lightsaber in the movies that showed there was a Wookiee Jedi that wielded more like an axe. It was more like a different shape to the blade. But
Yoda's was really a quick one-handed type of thing.
It was very small.
Yeah.
Because for a small stature. But one of the cool things that I read about why they designed that for Count Dooku for Christopher Lee was because one, he's an Olympic level fencer. He had and had said in many times that he had probably done more fighting scenes in movies than any other actor ever. And so he was already a expert fencer. And so they wanted a lightsaber that took advantage of his fencing abilities. And then also because he was kind of arthritic, it was easier for him to grip like that, as opposed to, and fencing like that way. So, and I thought it was awesome. Honestly, Count Dooku's lightsaber is one of my favorites. Even though he's got one of the worst names in Star Wars history.
Dooku?
Dooku.
Yeah.
Lightsaber nunchucks. I think you'd end up chopping your own arm off too often, I think.
Sith Dookie.
Reminds me of Highlander. Like every Mandalorian episode is a level from a game, and a plot is out of one as well. A great game and a lot of fetch quests with no real story. Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's still episodic.
No, so
that's the thing.
One of my favorite parts of this episode of Mandalorian, though, is when he's riding across the Dune Sea, and he's got the child in the little satchel, and he's got his head up, and the ears are just flapping in the wind. He's like a dog looking out the window.
One of the things that fucking puzzled me. Okay, so they're riding across essentially a desert planet on a speeder bike and what looked like to be almost a land speeder, a pod race, some design of a land speeder.
Yeah.
And
speeder bikes, yeah. Yeah,
they're essentially speeder bikes. And fucking elephant isn't wearing goggles or a helmet or nothing.
Nope.
His eyes would be full of dust.
Yep.
Sand would have cut his eyes to ribbons. Now, I mean, I realize that
he's a high-paid actor. They had to take the helmet off.
I get it.
My thing is that half the time
to be seen.
Well, and that's the thing. Half the time that he's out there, he's got the breastplate on, but the helmet is nowhere to be seen. It's not even like it's not even like it's on his speeder or it's next to him or anything like that.
He doesn't
It's
even
just
put it on again until they get into the shit with
Yeah.
with the dragon.
And all of a sudden it's just back. And he's like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
he's
put
like,
this
okay,
on.
here it is. Click, and puts it on. And I'm just like, I mean, when in the initial bar scene, when he just takes it off and sets it down, I'm like, you know, so you know he's not a real Mandalorian. But I really like that initial kind of.
Well, at least not that clan of Mandalorian, because
Sure.
Mandalorians are there are different Mandalorians.
Right. Right.
And that's one of the things. So the issue that I have, and this is something that I have to talk about real quick before we end the show.
Sure.
So the biggest thing I have an issue with the Mandalorian is actually from last season. It was the last episode when he's talking to the Forger.
Right.
And she says,
"Who's a badass?"
Well, yes, totally. But
badass.
When they talk about the idea of him taking the child to its own people,
yeah,
and she mentions there's legends of Mandalore fighting this group. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not like it's been 200 years since there were Jedi around.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, there was only 10 years. It's only been like, what, 10 years since the fall of the Empire, right? So,
6.
6, right. It's been 6 years since the fall of the Empire. Now, there had to been like legends or stories told about Luke Skywalker and the lost Jedi that helped destroy the
Exactly.
Death Star. They had to know about that. I agree. I had problems with this too.
And at most, it's 20 years since Order 66.
Right. What the fuck?
Maybe 23, because I think there's 3 years. There's 3 years between New Hope and Return. So
right.
So
I mean, even so, it can't be more than 30.
Yeah.
So they had to have remembered about the Jedi. So I mean, unless they're talking about ancient Mandalore.
And yes, Mandalore fought against them, but the way that they described it is, there's legends of Mandalore fighting against these sorcerers that could wield the Force, and I'm like, right. They were just here 25 years ago.
I don't buy the fact that they didn't know who the fucking Jedi was. I mean, when he lands in Tatooine,
Obi-Wan was on Mandalore.
Obi-Wan was on Mandalore?
Yeah, during the Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
He was pretty much stooping the head of the Mandalorians.
Well, that's news. Okay, I did not know that. But he lands at the
watch the Clone Wars. You see the relationship they have. There's definitely something going on there.
All right. Well, he lands at the place where he docks, basically, his ship, and he goes out, and the one woman who's like fixes ships and stuff with her droids, and she's like, "Oh, thank the Force," and comes out and takes the baby, and it's like, okay, so if you know what the Force is, you're gonna know who the Jedi are. So I was just like, yeah, there's parts of this show that, okay, that was lazy writing.
Yep.
Or at the very least, that's the thing. You do, although it's not like one writer has written every episode, you'd think there's got to be an editor. There's got to be like Jon Favreau, the producer, who's got to be going through this and go, okay, this doesn't work right. You gotta adjust these things and stuff. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they'll reveal more about that and more about the ideas behind that.
Yeah, and like CD said, he's like, they don't have Facebook?
Yeah.
Or digital video history?
Yeah, that's some of the reasons I feel like this is a good video game versus good show per se. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I mean, all right, that's not a bad point. I mean, I still think this is an awesome Star Wars show.
I think it is too. But it's not perfect.
It's not perfect. There are definitely some plot holes that I hope they can clear up. So, that being said, I hate to cut it, but because this is a great conversation, but it is getting late, and
I think we should get going.
We are past an hour and a half. So, thanks again for joining us, guys. We had, it looks like we had a lot of we had a few new viewers on the show tonight.
Yeah. A lot of chat. Really loved seeing that.
Hopefully, it looks like Sean might have been our 31st follower, so that's fun too. Thanks again, buddy. Thanks for sitting in.
We had 31, so if he followed us, then we got 32.
Okay, no, it just says 31 followers, so unless it's been updated. But Yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining us. This was a great anniversary episode, number 201. Holy shit. Sean, we'll be in contact soon, and we'll have you on the show real soon, because we do talk about, we want to have some
Yep.
guests, and the fact that Zoom is kind of made for this kind of thing is making it so much easier. We can get you on the show.
And we've tried it with Zoom before, with like when we did the Tavern Nights episode. That actually worked out really well.
Yeah, it's working out really great. A lot better than Skype. So
Mhm.
this is really cool. And just going, getting better and better from
Which is funny because Skype had so many years of getting ready for something like this, and there are so many other products that have actually eclipsed them. I'm like, you were the ones.
Exactly. You'd think that they would have figured it out, that had it down, and they're like, we were waiting for this. We've been waiting for this for 10 years, and then they fuck it up. Zoom is so much better. I don't know. But yeah, guys, again, thanks for joining us and following and keeping up with us. And
for 4 years, man.
Yeah, 4 years we've been doing this, and I like to think we are fairly consistent. We're a lot more consistent than other podcasts and stuff. You know, I mean, Chris, at the very least, you've been on every episode.
Every episode we've had, yeah. But
but
that's mostly because
you're the equipment guy.
Yeah, I have the equipment and know how to actually set everything up.
I don't at all. You know, but yeah, again, it's been pretty great. So we're gonna keep going and keep moving, and hopefully getting up from there. I'm hoping to, you know, maybe once, particularly once the pandemic's over, we'll be able to do more mobiles. We want to. I've talked about a few. We want to. Although this is very convenient, you know, but it is nice. It is better. It's sometimes, I mean, we like being in the same room together sometimes too. So maybe we'll go back. Maybe once the pandemic's over, we'll go back to being like, maybe sometimes we'll do it together in the studio, and sometimes we'll do it.
And that's the thing. I would like to get back together because there is something about being in the same room. And I know it's more convenient. It's not as convenient for you because you have to travel over here, but but yeah, doing things like, especially like when you have to work late or something like that, being able to do it this way, it makes it really easy.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, but yeah, guys, thanks again. For those of you, I mean,
rewind.
Man, very fucking tired. Guys, you can find Nerds with Alcohol and all the places you can find quality podcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, radio.com, and what was once the Google Play Store, which is now what, Google Podcast?
Google Podcast, yeah.
Google Podcast. You can also stream and download all of our shows at nerdswithalcoholshow.com. And of course, you can see us every Tuesday night currently at 8:30, but we'll be going back to 8 o'clock once work is not as nuts for me. You can find us every Tuesday night at 8:30 on Twitch, on our Drinking Nerds channel, and of course we do post the episodes on YouTube and a couple of days after.
And you can follow us on most of the social medias. We are on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, and Instagram Drinking Nerds. And then like Russ said, you can find us on YouTube, Nerds with Alcohol Show, and we are also on Untapped. You can just search for Drinking Nerds, send us a friend request, and we can get you added. That said, remember this Friday night, Tavern Nights, 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Should be a good time. See where everybody goes from here. You guys are in the middle of an orc cavern.
Yep. So I'm gonna watch the rest of listen to the rest of the episode, unless you guys fucking like dog me out and steal my shit.
Didn't steal your shit. You gave away a warhammer that you weren't using.
That's my backup weapon. I mean, come on. Fuck. I can get another warhammer. It's not a big deal. I did like the fact that you were jumping in and you're like, Merrick Harris would probably have like helped out. I was laughing at the fact that how fucking dark they were getting. It's like their moral compass was gone. You'd think Octavian would have been like, hang on, guys, we need to help these people. Let me throw them a healing word or something. Give them a little food, but Apparently not. Apparently, everybody's like, "Fuck these guys. We got orcs to kill."
But yeah, so this Friday night, 7:00 Eastern time, we'll be doing Tavern Nights. It's a great time. We actually are having a blast, having a lot of fun, and actually, I think it's been going really well. So, if you get a chance,
sure.
come on by, check us out.
Exactly. So
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I
Unless
think
there's anything else.
Yeah, I think on that note.
On that note.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Slainte.
Slainte.
Well, that was a good one. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Thanks for voting.
Wait, where's my cursor? There it is. All right. See you guys later.
Good night.